think that they know.
No, she actually grew up in just right out of the border, South Westfield. She went to school. So I knew that she worked. So I met online. One other thing. Really does. But she was living in that.
The county board chairman for years.
Her sister was in the city. And her parents moved from Westfield. They lived in Downers. Right, they go. Which is huge. Yeah. Going through it.
As published, here's your 2015 and 2016 city levy. So if you were to just look at your city property tax line item and your actual property tax bill that says City of Yorkville, and added up for every property across the entire town. Last year, we asked for $3.1 million, and this year we're actually asking for the same exact dollar amount. So the difference is when you get into our sub-levies, if you look at the detailed spreadsheet, whereas last year we had about $47,000 in non-abated property taxes related to bonds. This year, finally, we're back at zero, and so we're basically just shifting this money over into the operations cap, sitting at $3.1 million of city property tax levy, even though we're not actually asking for any more money on the whole from year to year. The library from last year to this year is also on here. So they have also two sub-levies that make up their larger levy. They're asking for about $60,000 to $70,000 extra, is what the board has actually voted on. And that is also broken out between their cap taxes, which go to operations, and their bonds, which has been approved by a referendum years ago, and increases marginally each year. So the bonds are going to go up about $8,000 from last year to this year, and that was, again, approved by referendum. And they've asked for a large increase in their operations tax because they are actually calculated with us and are able to set their own levy rate. So again, we're going to be talking about the operations that are capped at the city and the operations that are capped at the library levy. So just breaking down the library discussion, because that's going to be the main point of discussion. They set their own levy. So they actually say we want $692,000, and however that breaks out between all the property in the city is up to the county clerk. The actual value of all the property in the city. So within that, though, the maximum tax rate is always 0.15 cents, or so 15 cents per $100 EAB. And that's also by law. So each year they go through and they estimate how much property is in the city, and then they've always asked for much more than they think than their maximum rate will be, so that they collect 100% of their maximum fund from year to year. Which means, because they're not subject to normal property tax caps like we are, and in fact they're combined with our calculation, if EAV increases 45% from last year to this year, their property taxes go up 45%. So this is something that we've talked about separating them out, which is illustrated on these next few slides and staff recommendations. So again, we're talking about actually taking the library out from underneath our property tax cap umbrella and calculating their property tax cap separately from the city. And so that's the city staff's recommendation that'll be reflected in the ordinance next week or 2 weeks from now, as long as you guys agree with it. So Exhibit A within your packet, again, is as we've been doing it from year to year. So if we keep everybody under the same umbrella, the library would get $70,000 more than they got last year, and the city would actually be forced to reduce our tax levy because we'd all be calculated under the same tax cap. So this is what the library board recommends that we do, because it's a lot of extra money for them. Exhibit B is what we actually think would occur if we pass our Exhibit C, which I'll get into here in a second, which means the city doesn't get any extra money from last year to this year, and then the library would still get $21,000 extra for about a 1.5% increase. And then so Exhibit C is actually what we recommend that the city council pass. So, because you can't actually change within the tax levy ordinance the dollar amount that the library board certified, you have to put that in the tax levy ordinance by law. But we're recommending that we levy $0 for the city. And then the tax levy ordinance would show that large increase that they're requesting. But then we would also direct the county clerk to break them out, to break the library out separately and calculate their property tax cap singularly and separately. So, and again, if we do that and everything goes okay at the county clerk, because I'm under the impression that they have not done this yet in the history of the county, even though it's put in state statute, nobody yet has crossed that threshold, they would still get $20,000 of additional revenue from last year to the next year. They would then just be subject to the property tax caps. So moving on to just some simple tax facts, if you actually look at the packet of the city council, the police pension property tax obligation is going way up through investment losses, changes in assumptions from year to year, and the fact that we've added police officers, so it's going to go up 17% from year to year. And what that means is even though we're asking for the same dollar amount in full that we did from last year, we're still actually losing money to the general fund because we're directing more of it to the police pension fund. The average EAV increase citywide on a single home is 9.95%. So that's an increase, which means it's a 3-year rolling average of property values. So there are people that are seeing a lot larger increases in the value of their home, theoretically, fair market value, from last year to this year. These are the estimates that the county clerk, the county assessor puts out after all the different township assessors crunch all their numbers. So you've got years of foreclosures finally falling off the calculation. That's impacting the numbers in a big way. So if the county assessor says your home is worth more than 9.95% than it was last year, your city property taxes will probably go up, even though we're not asking for $1 more. And if your increase is less than that, or somehow you appeal it and you get an actual decrease, your city property taxes should go down. They should not stay the same. But again, that all depends on a lot of other things. We've been talking about pieces of the pie the last few years. And again, the city line item is actually only about 6% of your total tax bill, and this is the first year that we're not collecting any non-abated property taxes. So we did that in 2010, so you paid for that in summer of 2011, which is fiscal year 2012. So this is the first year in 5 fiscal years that we will not have any non-abated property taxes in our budget, which is great. And just a point of reference in case you were reading the packet, or if you've been following since we did the budget proposal several months ago, we did communicate a 1% reduction this year. But in the 3 years prior, we communicated 2 1 and 1% reductions, and we actually came back at 3, 1.66, and 1.68. So we actually rolled back property taxes faster than we communicated, which is why we're recommending a 0 for this year. So we still arrived at the same endpoint, we just got there differently. So that's it. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions from the public? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing on the tax levy.
I think Diane had a question.
Oh. Okay. Do we have any citizen comments on anything that's on the agenda this evening? Go ahead. Yeah, please sign in and state your name.
My name is Randy Scott. I live in Pavilion Heights. And oddly enough, I came to ask about Pavilion Road, although I'm not it's in the city limits. As you probably all know, Pavilion Heights is sandwiched in between when the city annexed those roads a while back. And I guess this isn't the time for questions, but if I may make a couple comments. I've got your packet here that says they're going to be doing this road improvement thing. And Pavilion Heights, or Pavilion Road, has been a mess for any of you that have to travel that. The brush along the road, by the creek there off of Fox Road where you turn in, that never gets trimmed. It's out in the highway. I've talked with Mr. Deuce about this. I've called many times. I know you've got plans to do this. According to your chart here, this says 2017. But, you know, is there any kind of schedule other than next year? Does anybody know? I mean, I feel like that road's been neglected. I think that it was annexed. During the landfill deal. I believe it was somewhere around 2007, somewhere in that area. And that road has had very little maintenance. And so I'm here to ask what can be done. Also, another thing, when you come out of Challey Drive, or if you come out of Pavilion, or Highview Drive out of Pavilion, when you pull out onto Pavilion Road, I would like you to know that it can be very unsafe. Doug Westfall, who's Kendall Township supervisor, I spoke with him here a while back. He's been very helpful. He trimmed the brush back so we can see, because when you pull out there, it's very dangerous. So I'd like to see the city consider when you clean up along the creek there in the road, and also the brush, move it back, cut the tree line and the brush back, coming out of Challey Drive on the north end there of Pavilion. And it's very dangerous, and I would urge the city to do that. I know you've got a lot of things going on, and I think you got too much property, but that's something that you got to organize, and I'm leaving that up to you. But I just, I wanted to lay that out there and see what can be done about it. I feel like my phone calls and my comments and meeting people in person has gone lost and gone forever. Like I say, Kendall Township, maybe you could strike a deal with them. They're pretty good. Those of you that see the road, it's beautiful, the part in the center there. When the city took over, I don't know. But that's what I want to lay out there, and I'd like for you guys to consider doing something, or patching, whatever. I mean, when cars go down that road, when you turn off Fox Road and go up Pavilion Road, I'm sure if the police officers were out there and saw this, probably all of us would get tickets, because they drive on the wrong side of the road to avoid how bad the road is. I mean, it is terrible. You know, you go slow and you go easy, and the brush sticks out in the road. I'm just asking you all to see what you can do with your agenda, put that out there. I don't like to call and complain a lot, but I thought if I put it out here where you all hear the same thing at the same time, that you'll give that some serious consideration. So, no dates on this, just 2017, right?
Right, I mean, the 2017 construction season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We go out to design for it. It'll be bid in spring, and it's depending on however soon we can get a contractor to do it. So it's the first projects that will be completed.
Are they, I'm hoping that they're also going to do some trimming, because the brush right down there by Fox Road, in fact, part of the road's going to fall into that creek one of these days. There's limbs, my friend here that I brought with me, he had to stop the other day and throw limbs out of the road. The trees all along there are rotten, and up by the cemetery they're rotten. They fall in the road all the time. Lots of times it's us or whoever comes by has to push that stuff out of the way. Technically, that whole tree line needs to be cut down. I know it's another big thing, but it's a safety issue, guys. It's a safety issue. Cars traveling in the wrong lane because the road's too terrible to travel on, and when you drive down the road, if you stay in the lane you belong, you'll scrape your car up with the brush. So,
Mr. Mayor.
please see what you can do.
Go ahead, Chris.
That project will be addressed in the spring, summer of 2017, but the area you addressed at adjacent to the intersection of Fox, Eric Deuce had mentioned that in this project they are going to be doing some shoreline stabilization because they know that it is falling into the creek, so that part at the southern end will be addressed to an extent. The entrances you mentioned at Chally, at the north and south ends of Pavilion Heights, those are not within the city jurisdiction. Just the northernmost as it comes into Route 71, that short section from the cemetery north or
Right.
south, and then the section up to Chally.
Yeah.
Those are the only parts that are city controlled.
Well, it's Highview on the south end.
Highview and Chally.
Yeah, Chally on
So
the
that's controlled by township. actually,
Well,
but-
yeah, I know. The township has pretty much taken care of all of it.
Absolutely.
But
And the
then-
rest of it will be mill and surface. And then, to an extent, the trimming will be done at the very south end as they need to do some work in
Yeah,
this shrub.
'cause,
So that's all we have for right now.
Yeah, Eric had mentioned that he was going to do something out there in October, and guess what? Christmas is almost here. And I got to be honest, I've heard this in a couple of years past, too. So whatever you can do would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, well, we'll talk to Eric tomorrow. He's gonna be here this evening. But, Mark and I'll talk to him tomorrow, see if there's anything that can still be done this
Give that
year.
some consideration. Send somebody out there, drive the road, pull into the subdivision, try to turn out on the,
Yeah, I drive it. I'm right off of Fox, so I drive it whenever I'm going to 71.
yeah.
So,
I know the other side of it's going to be that when you fix the road, it's going to be a racetrack as people fly through there like crazy. And that makes it even worse coming out of the subdivision. So it's a safety concern, and among everything else. So I think you got the picture.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you for listening.
Any other citizen comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Rules,
Aye.
Wilczewski,
Aye.
Funkhauser,
Aye.
Oswald,
Aye.
Readers. Pat. Vote.
Aye.
Sealing. Motion carries.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular city council meetings of October 25th and November 8th, 2016, and the minutes of the special city council meetings of October 25th and October 29th, 2016, as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Comments or questions on minutes? Any of the minutes? All those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, no mayor's report, no committee reports, no park board, planning and zoning, no city council report, city clerk's report, and community liaison reports. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it's more of like a community report. There's some misinformation out there about the money that we got from the county for the bike trail, that we borrowed it and that we have to pay it back. I just want to clear that up, that that is not the case, and it was a grant that the county offered us and we took the grant. So I just want to point out that it's bad when there's misinformation out there. We need to watch what we say in the public because it makes people irate.
Misinformation in government?
Well, I don't know where that came from, but it certainly didn't come from the city council. It was made up, that's all I can say, and it makes people irate.
Chris?
One item, just a reminder that the AACVB does have the annual meeting and lunch. It was distributed to everybody. I know some of you have RSVP'd. If you have the ability to attend Friday, December 2nd, John McDonough, the CEO of the Blackhawks, will be the keynote speaker for the event, so should be a good time. If you can, contact Bonnie and RSVP.
Anyone else? Staff reports?
Just one item, Your Honor, we do have the breakfast with Santa on Saturday, December 3rd. It's in the morning, I think it starts at 8 a.m. and it does require registration, so if anybody wants to show up to that, please make sure you call Parks and Recreation before the day of the event, and so we can get you registered and in attendance.
The same Santa that was at tree lighting?
That I don't know. Well, I mean, there's only one.
There's only one Santa.
That was a bit of a trick back there.
Yes, I know there's only one Santa. But just say,
Mayor hates Christmas. I
this Santa was standing on the floor while I was behind the wheel, so he was a very brave Santa. Okay, any staff reports? Any other staff reports? That's it? Additional business. I did want to commend two of our employees for graduating from the Communities of Excellence program at Wabansie. Both Lisa and Rachel graduated this past week. And Lisa, why don't you tell us a little bit about it? What is it, a degree program or a certificate program or?
It's basically a program that's put together by Wabansie for people that work in the public sector. So it consisted of twice a year for 2 years, spring and fall. And you go for 6 weeks and it's all topics related to government. So it's really interesting and it's a good way to meet your fellow workers and other towns, get some ideas about things that work well for them that you might be able to suggest here, and then it's mutual. Things that we found that work, some other community might be able to use that as well. So
Nice.
it was a very nice opportunity to be able to attend that.
No, we took advantage of it because we offered it to all employees. We made all employees go to the 20-hour course?
Yeah.
And yeah, then they were offered to go to this extended course, and Lisa and Rachel took advantage of it, which I was happy to see, so good job.
Thank you.
Any other additional business? We do have executive session for litigation
And real estate.
and real estate. And After executive session, no further action will be taken. We will adjourn to executive session.
Yeah.